Okay, I want you to take a second and just imagine. Imagine you suddenly get rich overnight. We're talking life-changing money. Maybe one of your wild crypto investments actually goes to the moon, or your side hustle completely explodes. Or hey, maybe you actually hit the jackpot and win the lottery. Right? It is literally the ultimate fantasy. But believe it or not, getting incredibly rich overnight is statistically one of the absolute most dangerous things that can happen to you. Seriously. So, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the sudden wealth survival guide, how to actually survive and thrive if you ever hit a massive windfall.
So, what is the very first thing you would do if you won the lottery today? Come on, be honest. For most of us, the immediate instinct is to just go screaming it from the rooftops, right? Maybe rub it in your boss's face or tell everyone you know. Okay, let's dive into this, because we're going to uncover why doing exactly that is an absolutely terrible idea that could literally ruin your life.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the curse of sudden wealth. You might think winning millions means the end of all your problems. But statistically, when you suddenly get rich, you are far more likely to lose your friends, lose your family, experience a way higher risk of substance abuse, and ultimately end up divorced. Why? Well, because most folks who get rich fast have never actually built wealth before. They just have absolutely no idea how to manage it or the massive psychological weight that comes with it.
To really grasp this, we've got to look at the tragic story of Jack Whitaker. Back in 2002, Jack won $314.9 million in the Powerball. At the time, that was the largest jackpot ever won by a single ticket. It's just staggering. But Jack, well, he did the exact opposite of keeping it quiet. He went around telling everyone. He even became famous for just handing out cash to strangers who asked him for help. He gave millions to his church, he bought his friends new cars, new houses, and you might be sitting there thinking, man, what a lovely guy. Good things are definitely going to happen to him, right?
Well, unfortunately, that couldn't be further from the truth. The grim reality of being too nice and too public was completely devastating. His wife divorced him. His friends, they completely abandoned him. And terribly, his granddaughter, whom he spoiled with money, tragically died from an overdose. He actually admitted later on that trying to be the nice guy completely destroyed both his fortune and his family.
And that harsh reality brings us right to Section 2, going stealth rich. Look, when you strike it rich, privacy isn't just a nice-to-have preference. It is your absolute #1 priority. Because the second people know you have money, they descend like vultures. Seriously, you become a prime target to get robbed, sued, blackmailed, or scammed. People always say money changes people, right? But the truth is, money just reveals who a person really is. So, the crucial point is, you absolutely must become stealth rich. And what that means is keeping your sudden wealth completely secret to maintain your privacy and protect yourself from exploitation. Don't post about it online. Don't go out and buy flashy things right away. Don't leave any clues. In fact, the absolute only person you should be telling is a highly qualified trust and estate planning attorney. That's it. They can set up trusts to save you millions in taxes and, way more importantly, build this massive, invisible wall of privacy around your new wealth.
Next up on the timeline is the 6-month transition phase. Now, a lot of people will tell you, hey, don't quit your job after getting rich. But let's be real for a second. If your job is totally miserable, quit. However, do not quit working entirely. Being rich and bored, that is an incredibly dangerous combo. People who stop working completely, they just sit around 24/7 thinking about how to spend their cash. They go out and open restaurants they know literally nothing about, and boom, they end up on an episode of Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. So, for the first 6 months, you gotta keep your life as normal as possible. Process the money, avoid temptation, and if you do quit that job you hate, find a new purpose. Find a job you actually enjoy, just to keep yourself grounded and occupied.
Okay, once you've navigated that initial shock, we enter Section 3, the debt reset button. When you're sitting on millions in the bank, you might brush it off and think, why worry about a few little debts? But listen to me, unchecked debt will literally start eating your fortune alive.
Here's the thing, not all debt is created equal. First, you've got your toxic high-interest debt. We're talking credit cards sitting at like 20 to 30% interest, or those high-rate car loans. You must destroy this debt immediately. Paying off a 20% credit card is the exact same mathematical thing as earning a guaranteed 20% return. Totally risk-free. Hit that reset button and never look back. But contrast that with cheap debt, like a 2 or 3% mortgage. People always rush to pay off their houses when they get rich. But honestly, if the debt is that cheap, it might actually be way smarter to keep it. Why? because you can take that cash, invest it instead, and earn a far higher return than the 3% that the mortgage is costing you. It's a game changer.
All right, take a deep breath, because now we are navigating the biggest minefield of the whole shebang in Section 4, managing friends and family. Suddenly, the people closest to you, they're going to feel entitled to a slice of your wealth because, well, in their minds, you didn't earn it with honest hard work. They'll come to you for loans they're never going to pay back or pitch you these absolute genius business ideas.
Listen closely here. Lending money to friends and family is the absolute fastest way to lose them. If you truly want to help, you need ironclad boundaries. Here's the golden 3-step rule. Step 1. Ensure they genuinely actually need it. Step 2. Give them the money. Don't lend it, do not expect a single dime back. But step 3, and this is the real kicker, they can never ever ask you for money again. Ever. You cannot become their personal emergency piggy bank. If they know you'll just bail them out every time, they'll stop being responsible. I know, it sounds totally heartless, but sometimes you really have to be cruel to be kind. Trust me, this rule will save your relationships.
Moving right along to Section 5, the Rule of 25. The problem is, most people who get rich quickly, they still have a consumer mindset. Our sources highlight this crazy cautionary tale about a family who won the lottery, right? They immediately went out and bought a $10 million house, a fleet of sports cars, private schooling, the works. And guess what? Only 2 years later, the whole thing completely collapsed. They had to pull their kids out of school, sell the cars, and desperately list that mega mansion at a massive loss just to escape the crushing debt. They just had the wrong mindset entirely. Instead, you need to follow the ultimate golden rule of wealth. Never spend the principal, only the interest. And this brilliantly illustrates the money tree metaphor. Think of your new wealth as a giant money tree. Your one and only goal is to grow that tree so it produces new fruit, or, income, every single month. What that family in the story did, they basically chopped down their money tree to use as temporary firewood. And once it's burned, it's gone for good. You gotta live off the fruit. You don't chop down the tree. So naturally, you're probably wondering, exactly how big does your money tree actually need to be? Well, the answer comes down to a magic number, 25. This number is based on the famous 4% safe withdrawal rate from investing, and it is exactly how you calculate your specific freedom figure, which is the exact amount of money you need to literally never have to work another day in your life.
Let's actually walk through the math on this because it's incredibly simple. Step 1. Figure out your desired annual income to live the lifestyle you want. Let's just say, for example, that's $200,000 a year. Step 2, you just multiply that number by 25. And step 3, boom, you have your freedom figure, which in this scenario is $5 million. If you take that $5 million and safely invest it, you will never actually have to dip into the principal. You can just happily live on the $200,000 of interest it generates every single year, forever. It's basically a cheat code to life.
But where do you actually put that money? Because standard bank accounts tossing you 0.5% interest are absolutely not going to cut it. Let's move to Section 6 and see how this builds. We need to construct a proper, resilient investment portfolio.
So, let's pretend you have that $5 million. At this stage of the game, it's way more about preserving your wealth than aggressively trying to grow it. So here's an example of how you might allocate $4.5 million of it just to keep it safe and growing. You could put $1 million into a total stock market index fund for that long-term growth. Another $1 million into a total bond market index fund, giving you safety and stability if the market decides to crash. Another $1 million into real estate, maybe split evenly between residential homes and commercial warehouses for steady cash flow. Then $1 million into a high-yield savings account just generating super safe, reliable interest. And finally, $500,000 into blue-chip crypto like Bitcoin. Now, wait a second. Did you notice this only adds up to $4.5 million? Don't worry, I haven't forgotten how to do math. We will get to that missing $500K in just a minute. But first, let's look at exactly why this allocation works so well. Historically, these standard assets perform really reliably. The stock market averages about 9% per year over the long haul, commercial real estate yields around 8% in steady cash flow, and those super safe bonds sit around 4%. If you blended this all together into that portfolio we just built, even using really conservative estimates, it could predictably generate over $312,000 in passive income for you every single year. Now, I do need to add a quick caveat about that $500,000 in crypto. Sure, Bitcoin has seen some explosive 49% annual gains over the last decade, but man, it is wildly volatile. It goes down just as fast, if not faster, than it goes up. That's exactly why it is treated strictly as a 5 to 10% moonshot allocation in this portfolio. You want to normalize your expectations to a 10 to 15% range to be safe.
It acts as this high upside wild card, but without risking your actual core wealth.
Okay, so what about that missing $500,000 from our $5 million total? Well, that is your fun money. Yep, it was left out of the responsible investment portfolio completely on purpose. Look, you've just hit a massive windfall. You should take that 10% and spend it on whatever you absolutely want, entirely guilt-free. Go buy the car, take the crazy luxury trip, celebrate with a huge party, get it completely out of your system right off the bat, so the rest of your money can quietly go to work.
Which brings me to a final, really important question that I want to leave you with today. Are you chasing possessions, or are you buying back your time and freedom? Think about it, because the people who blow their lotteries are always the ones chasing the Lamborghinis and the mega mansions, but the rich, the ones that actually stay rich, they understand that real wealth is waking up in the morning and getting to decide exactly how you want to spend your day. It's about never, ever having to do things you don't want to do. So if you ever do hit that windfall, remember the playbook. Protect your privacy, hit reset on your debts, grow your money tree, and buy back your freedom. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.